In episode number 275 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the Doomsday Clock sales.
We also have some controversy with Jim Starlin and his departure from Marvel Comics.
And our comic book highlight of the week is Monstro Mechanica number 1.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
And for those of you joining us for the very first time, welcome to the greatest show ever. The way we format the show is first we start out with some news, ranging from all those things I just mentioned, and we follow up with either a comic book or a movie highlight of the week.
And this episode is actually releasing publicly on Christmas Eve, December 24th. I don't know if we've ever had an episode that actually released on Christmas Eve in the years that we've been doing the show.
I don't think so. We should sing some Christmas songs. Na 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 na. Look at the snow. Look at the snow.
Otherwise, our Patreon backers are enjoying this early. So if you do celebrate Christmas Eve, happy Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas Eve, the bestest, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't celebrate this.
Whatever.
Happy holidays, and if not, happy Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show, and hopefully you find something, if you're a new listener, something in it to enjoy, something you'll learn from, something that you take away that is of value and worth your time. So thanks for giving us a shot.
I have something that's not worth anyone's time, but I want to mention this because I just thought of it. And maybe I've mentioned it before. I don't know. I feel like I tell the Brokeheads a lot about my life and my history. So I don't know if I've shared this with anybody. But if you guys notice, I always open on odd episodes, and you always open on even episodes.
Yep.
When I used to go to Taco Bell as a kid, my order number was always an odd number, and I was real pissed off because I only wanted to be an even number, and I was an odd number, and now I'm the odd numbers all the time again.
Do you want to flip it? Do you want to change it?
No, I don't.
2018?
Because that means I'll have to go twice in a row.
That's right.
It's fine. I'll stay the odd numbers because then I would just get confused and then I would end up opening all the shows at that point. Nobody wants to listen to me talk that much.
You know what else is going to be really cool? I believe the next week's episode is actually going to be on New Year's Eve as well. So we're going to have, for the first time...
New Year's Eve.
This is our second to final episode of 2017, and we're going to talk about how some of the stuff that is happening next year, or some of the stuff that we want to see happen next year, and how you guys can get involved in it with when we get to the Patreon portion of it. So we're calling in the Brokehead Core once again to tune in and to chime in via SpeakPipe to let us know what your favorite stuff of 2017 was. What was the stuff that you really enjoyed in this year, including movies or comics, whatever it is. What is the one thing that released this year that you especially liked?
My child.
Your child is, yeah, that's definitely the one. And we'll reflect more on the year next episode, most likely. A couple of the things we want to do probably is maintain our growth of the show. I think I mentioned on Twitter that the 10 episodes, the top 10 most downloaded months for the podcast, 7 of them were this year.
That's awesome.
So we have had our best year in downloads, in Patreon, in followers. It's all been a steady growth, which is really important for the show to continue, for more Brokeheads to find the show and discover it as we continue to do it, of course. So it's awesome to see that as we continue to do it, that more people are discovering it, and that, of course, means more interactions with all of you, more diverse voices in the feedback that we do get from the Brokehead Core. And if you joined us this year, thank you so much, and thanks for making it this far.
But on to some cooler things. You know what I want to hear from Brokeheads? You want to know what I want to hear about?
What feedback?
Not feedback. I know I'm awesome. Please, no, we always appreciate your feedback. If you like the show, if you'd like to see more of things, definitely let us know on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, at Papa Kelly. But no, I want to hear the Brokeheads, if they celebrate a holiday, whatever holiday it is, what is their favorite holiday tradition?
So it could be Halloween, it could be Valentine's Day,
whatever. Because
you've got traditions,
I do.
right?
I have a whole lot, and you got thrown into them.
Yes,
so
I did.
You're welcome. We get a real Christmas tree every year for Christmas because what's my reasoning?
You want it to smell like Christmas in the morning.
Yes.
And
why?
Christmas smells like pine needles and a pine tree.
And why? Where do we live?
We live in Florida, and as you
So-
were growing up,
Yes.
you always had a real Christmas tree, and you always grew up as a kid. You'd wake up and you'd run to and it would smell like pine needles. So you want to continue that memory.
Because it's too hot to feel like Christmas otherwise. Because it was 80 degrees on Christmas Day last year. Yes. We're getting a cold front this year, which is real nice. What's my other Christmas tradition?
What are they, like the little cinnamon rolls?
Yes, we eat sweet rolls for breakfast. And then what's my favorite birthday tradition?
The toilet paper banner.
Yes!
Let them know what that is. I don't think you've talked about it on the show.
No, I haven't. So every year, my dad, the night before our birthday, so we wake up to it, he takes toilet paper and he writes "Happy Birthday" and then our name, "We love you," and he taped it up in the kitchen. And so that's my favorite thing. Like, I have to have my birthday banner. So we weren't even at our house this year. We were away on vacation with my parents for my birthday. He still put up the fucking birthday banner, but he was drunk, so it said Bert Day. And then when we came home from the hospital with Leo, he had a birthday banner up there too. So yes, that is my favorite. My favorite birthday tradition is the birthday banner, and I'm gonna do it forever. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to deal with a birthday banner.
I never once complained about it. I have nothing to say. I mean, it's easy to clean. Even if it were to fall and somehow it would get ignored, it's toilet paper. It's going to disintegrate into the floors.
Leo's birthday banner is still up there, please. I am going to save that one, though. That's his first birthday banner. He needs it.
You should. And as Kelly mentioned, please share your favorite traditions. And that's there's a link in the show notes through SpeakPipe, and through our Twitter handles, which is Kelli and at Reasons I'm Broke, as you mentioned earlier. But with that out of the way, let's head into our news for the week.
Beep, 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 beep. Is that the news noise?
No, we definitely have a theme song.
Does it go beep, 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 beep?
No, not quite.
So, for all of our brokeheads who live in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico has another comic store in town called Age of Comics.
Something we do want to try to do is, moving forward, we want to promote a new comic shop that has opened throughout the U.S. and maybe throughout the world. So if you have a new comic shop that opened in your area, let us know and we'll promote it on the podcast. But the new store, Age of Comics, is a 3,000 square foot location, and it opened up with the creators of the New Mutants comic book, Bob McLeod and Chris Claremont, who signed comics and met fans.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I was watching the video on, I think it was Fox that covered it, and they have like a special room called the Danger Room, and this is where like the high-end...
Highway to the Danger Room.
These are the comics where they are like the super high-end first appearances, thousands of dollars in back issues.
People are like snorting coke off of tables and stuff in there.
Off of first appearance of Spider-Man.
Yes.
They crumble the paper into fine lines and they snort it. It's just a burst of nostalgia in their brain. You know what? Those comics are so old. They're probably, you know how there's traces of cocaine in Cash?
Uh-huh.
There's probably traces of cocaine in old comics. You can probably snort them and feel something. It might be death. So I saw that in the video, which was really neat. A lot of them were slabbed, so they had them behind like a certain lip, so you couldn't just grab them off the wall like you can at certain shops. You can just grab them, but for these, yeah, they were like locked in there. And then I guess the owner has the first and second appearance of Wonder Woman, which isn't for sale, but he brought it to display during the grand opening, so it was like, holy shit. And it was like millions... over $1 million in back issues, just the value that he put up. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to take them back to my house.
I would too. Shit. I keep hoping. So my grandma's probably going to move up closer to us, like within the next year or so. And we're going to have to clean out her house. And she's kind of a hoarder. She's got a lot of stuff in there. So I keep hoping like, comic books? Comic books? She had boys. Her stepsons lived with her for a while. So maybe in the attic we'll find something of value.
That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, man. We're not. We're just going to find, like, old grandma romance novels, but...
So once again, Albuquerque, that is Age of Comics, the latest comic shop in town.
I don't know why I thought you were going to spell Albuquerque. Because you went to say age, you're like, that's Albuquerque A. And I'm like, why are you going to spell Albuquerque? Okay.
Next, we've got some sales news and how DC Comics is killing it in the industry right now.
So to no one's surprise, Jeff Johns' Doomsday Clock #1 was the best-selling comic book of November.
Doomsday Clock #1 was also the second best-selling book of November, with its lenticular variant holding that spot. So DC has the top 2 best-selling comics of that month.
6 other Batman titles, including Dark Knight's Metal tie-ins, helped DC hold 8 of the top 10 spots for the month sales.
The other 2 spots were Captain America #695 at the #8 spot, and Star Wars #38 at the #10 spot. So 8 DC books and 2 Marvel comics.
Well, I mean, DC is the best, so...
They really are doing amazing. Like, one thing I've noticed with Dark Knight's Metal is it's not just, the regulars that are getting into it, which of course they are, and some of them are buying multiple copies because it is going up in value, but they're also reading it and they're collecting it. So they're all into it, of course. I'm into it. We're reading it. But the other thing I've noticed is a lot of casual buyers are also into the story, and they're not just going in like, oh, I only want the first print. They actually want to read the story. And they're like, I don't care what print it is. I just want to read the book. And a lot of them say that they see someone on YouTube talking about it, or their friends are talking about it. And it's got a story that is very accessible to a lot of people. And even when I explain it to anyone that walks in, they're like, okay, what's the big thing right now? Well, Dark Knight's Metal, there's evil versions of Batman in the main DC universe. So this Batman, for example, took the Flash's powers, and he's now leaked over into the main DC universe. And all of these Batmen have fused with these superpowers, or in Joker's case, with this supervillain. And now there's an army of Batman that have to be stopped by the true Batman in the main DC universe and his friends, the Justice League.
He's got a contingency plan for that. We're just waiting.
In the book so far, he's acting really surprised, like, oh no, what have I done? What has happened? But it's, I'm like, come on, Batman, you know what's happening. You got this.
He's trying to give his friends a chance to, figure things out and learn things before he just busts up in there and fixes it all.
Make him feel useful?
Yeah, that's what you got to do. It's like, have you ever...
a training exercise?
Have you ever read that theory that Batman's really crazy and Alfred's dressing up as all the villains, to keep Batman feeling... It's just like that. That's what it is.
How would you write Batman stopping each of these other super-powered Batmen?
Just with a fist.
Knocking each one fucking out.
He'd be... Mom and Dad would be so proud.
Yes, fucking ting, Batman.
Ting, ting, ting. It's him dropping the batarang. I always mix up that part. Those 2 parts aren't together in that episode, but whatever.
And is that how he's going to stop the Batman who laughs? Just an elbow to the fucking face? Or do you reason with him? I think we had this theory before where it's like either the Red Death or the Batman who laughs, the inner Batman of that is going to end up, one of them is going to be the hero in this. I still don't think that they're all 100% evil. I think one of them is going to have his inner Batman, and now I think it's going to be the Batman who laughs.
Yes,
and it's going to cause the change.
Likely. I think that's the most likely because of the reason that he's crazy is because of some toxin. So I think maybe regular Batman is going to figure out the antidote to that toxin or something. And
then there'll be 2 Batmen to fight the other ones. Holy shit, the odds.
And then they'll just... and you know how they stop Aquawoman Batman? They seduce her. I mean, why would you not want to sleep with yourself if you're Batman? Shit. This book just got great.
Because he's in love with the male Selena Kyle. You don't want to stop that love story, Kelly.
Yeah, but... Come on, Dan. You're in love with me, but if you could sleep with yourself... Lady Dan...
I guess Batman would. I don't know if I can say that for myself, but I'm also not Batman.
This is true.
Marvel did hold on to the lead as far as dollar share. Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of kid would that create? Batman and Batman. Just perfect genes.
It would just be another one of himself because it's already perfection. It would just be cloning yourself is all that would be happening.
All right. Somebody write this. Get on the phone with DC.
Write this twisted story.
Write this.
Can't be any more twisted than Dark Knight's Metal.
I'm sorry. This DC money earning.
Marvel did hold on to the lead as far as dollar share with 34.29% to DC's 33.71%. However, DC did lead in unit share chart with 39 and 37% compared to Marvel's 34%.
Now, let me ask you, is this because of, 1, their books are overpriced at
Correct.
Marvel?
That's one reason.
And 2, they forced everybody to buy a shit ton of books and just sent them out.
Yep.
Rather than actually making sales.
Exactly right. It's all the game to...
I'm smart. I'm a comic expert, Mark.
I mean, yeah, the dollar share is higher, and that's because, as you mentioned, the Marvel books are in general more expensive than the DC ones. They are bloating their numbers by shipping extras or with these special incentives of well, you can't order the super cool 3D cover unless you up your orders by 150% of the previous issue or 200% of your previous issue. A bunch of games to get you to boost your numbers. So that's one of the reasons why the market share is a little bit higher, but the unit shares, so in spite of all the different lenticular covers that are still coming out even on the Marvel side, DC's Dark Knight's Metal and Doomsday Clock, along with the rest of their DC Rebirth line, known as DC Universe now, is still getting numbers. It's still tracking sales. People are still excited about comics when it comes to DC and independent books. So this is why their unit share is higher, even though the number of titles under DC is lower.
Well, great on DC. I appreciate what they're doing for us.
Speaking of Johns, Jeff Johns did tweet out that there will be a month skip between issues 4 and 5 of Doomsday Clock to allow for the art team of Gary Frank and Brad Anderson to catch up and keep the same art team throughout the series, or as Johns puts it, to, quote, keep the quality and page count as high as possible, end quote.
Before we all get upset, user Starro from Bleeding Cool reminded everyone that, quote, Johns had already said Doomsday Clock would take 2 planned breaks in March and August. Given how meticulous Frank's art is, I don't think anyone expected him to deliver 12 consecutive monthly issues, but I sure hope he doesn't fall behind like he did with the last 2 issues of Superman's Secret Origin, end quote.
So these were already planned from the beginning. As he mentioned, everyone forgets that Johns already talked about this. But even when he did tweet this out, people weren't up in arms because DC is in good hand. Like, in readers' minds, DC is doing well by them. They're getting stories that they like. They're getting Metal and Doomsday Clock right now. It's a 1-2 punch right there. It's great for comic shops. It's great for readers. Readers are loving both. And then when you have a record like this and you're doing well, you can have a planned delay like this one, and readers are going to be like, that's fine. I'll wait. It's a good story. I'll read everything else in the meantime.
Like Saga, exactly.
Even though you wait 6 months.
Angry, but whatever.
So things like it's worth the wait. People are going to wait. I'm waiting. It's not a matter of like, well, you don't have any choice. It's like, you can drop the book if you don't want to wait, but readers don't. They love what's coming out of DC right now. And you and I, as DC readers, people who have listened to the show since the very beginning, when DC started to track downward into DCYOU, and then sales were low, and then suddenly we had DC Rebirth. So now readers like Kelli and I are at the top of the world. We're happy. We've got great stories.
Alive.
DC is on top of it. We've got 2 great events. We're learning about how the Watchmen are merging into the DC universe and comics in general. I mean, you've heard it before from different creators, from different people on Twitter, from different podcasters. This really is a little golden age of comic books. Marvel's lagging behind, but eventually that will also, it all goes in waves, right? Eventually Marvel will also be on top of their game.
No.
They will. It's going to happen. And I can't wait for it.
And DC will be more on top of the game.
I want everyone to do well.
Did Disney buy you too?
I wish. My tone would fucking change so quick.
So speaking of Marvel has commissioned their, quote, most acclaimed artist to draw teaser panels done to mimic cinematic post-credit scenes to be included in several titles in January through March. All issues will be cover marked with the Where is Wolverine slug.
That is the fucking dumbest thing they've done in the last week.
It is pretty stupid. So are we going to see like the end of, what was that Matthew Broderick thing where he's got the little robe on in the shower? Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
yeah.
So we're going to see Wolverine in a little robe?
Some executive said, so what's unique about our movies? What do people like about them? Oh, the post-credit scenes. People love them. They stick around for them. And they're like, why don't we put that in the comic? It doesn't really work the same. It's not going to translate to what you think, because readers aren't going to buy a comic just to see that post-credit scene. No, they'll fucking look it up online if they really want to. Use the fucking story. Use the book as your big reveal. Use that as your stinger. That's the nature of comic books. You leave what people want to see. Oh my God, that happened in the last couple of pages so that they come back for the next issue. You don't hide it in random issues spread throughout and say, well, this is going to sell all these other titles. No, it's not. No one's going to read that issue and then say, yeah, I'm going to subscribe to that as well.
It's like the fucking random ass Oreo where it's like, find the football on the Oreo and win $1 million. Do you remember that bullshit?
No.
You don't
remember that.
Oh, yeah. Oreo used to do it, wherein there would be one Oreo in a package, like a random ass package, that would have a different design on it. And if you found the Oreo with that design, then you won $1 million or something crazy like that. And I always used to think, what if I ate that Oreo?
It probably did get eaten.
Yeah, what if somebody else ate it and they never knew? Because all Oreos are the same color. It's not like you got a different color Oreo in there.
Plus, not everyone knows about the contest, so they would have just eaten it anyway, or they could have just, here you go, kid, and just piled it onto their kid. It doesn't, yeah, of course. No, but this isn't quite like that. It's, I don't know. What do you think about this post-credit scene?
It's stupid.
I mean,
okay, granted, we haven't seen it yet. Let's wait and see how it translates. But I think it's stupid. It's not going to sell, like you said, it's not going to sell the book. People are not going to go, oh, I need to see that post-credit scene to figure out where in time is Carmen Sandiego, Wolverine, whatever. Let me pick up that book.
Wolverine?
For that overpriced book of $4.99 just to figure this out. No, nobody's doing that.
A quote here from Marvel's Senior Vice President and Executive Editor Tom Brevoort. He said in a statement, quote, fans have been speculating about Wolverine's whereabouts since the very first reappearance in Marvel Legacy #1, and the Marvel Universe is left just as unaware. So keep your eyes peeled as Canada's favorite citizen makes his presence felt in titles all across the Marvel line. It's all leading to something, but what? End quote.
It would be better to have him hiding in a background panel in every single book.
Like, where's Waldo?
Yes. Or like your medal. In Dark Knight's medal,
right, that's true.
At least one person in the book does the medal symbol.
And that's just an Easter egg, too.
Yeah.
They seem to think that Wolverine is Dr. Manhattan. Like, where is he? People are wondering where... It's like, no, that's Dr. Manhattan, dude. People were wondering when Manhattan and the rest of the Watchmen were going to show up again in the DC universe. And we're getting that now with Doomsday Clock. Wolverine does not equal Dr. Manhattan. People want to see Wolverine back, but it is not a surprise like Manhattan was.
People want to see Hugh Jackman back.
Now, people do Wolverine has his fans. He's gonna.
Does he really?
He really does. It's not just Hugh Jackman, but again, it's still not like the surprise. It's not built the way that they did with Dr. Manhattan, where it was a complete surprise. Even though the front of the cover in DC Rebirth shows the whole DC universe about to touch this godly hand, and you can joke like, oh yeah, they're touching Dr. Manhattan, and then you read the book, oh my god, it fucking is Dr. Manhattan. Holy fuck.
You start foaming at the mouth.
Like, no one expected that shit. No one expected that shit.
It was great.
I think I hadn't spoiled it, or I had read it before you, and I was like, holy fuck. And then you read it, and you're like, holy shit, it's fucking Dr. Manhattan. And no one knew why or what was going to happen. And then you're like, he fucked with the DC universe in the New 52. And it makes sense because he is a god. He is God in that DC universe. He took
that blue dick and he just, DC universe.
I love that shit. And
what I love most about this whole thing is it all stemmed from DC trying to change and people hated it. So like, oh shit, yeah, it was just Dr. Manhattan. That's all it was. We had this plan. do. And I'm like, you guys are fucking geniuses. Here's my money. Take it.
Well, that was what was best about it, is they were able to adapt and change. Like, Jeff Johns looked at the negativity and the sales and he said, okay, so how can we make this work in the universe without just saying, we're just going to relaunch it all and bring back your characters? He's like, no, let's make a story out of this. Who has the ability of changing the universe? And there are several characters. And he said, what if we fucking throw in Dr. Manhattan? And it worked so fucking well. Even the Watchmen purists are like, they should really leave that alone. I'm going to buy that whole series, though. You know what I mean? Like, everyone wants to read it. Right. Even if you're against it, you want to see how Jeff Johns is doing it. And the fact that Jeff Johns is the guy that's doing it, he can do comics.
Oh, yeah.
The movies, probably not as much, but the comics, holy fuck. And even like I follow like a select group of DCEU purists, people that will defend every single one of those movies, even more so than me. And they're like, maybe soon we can see because we're going to get Flashpoint. Maybe we'll see Dr. Manhattan come up in the movies. And I was like, I fucking hope so. If they do, it better be the Zack Snyder Dr. Manhattan, because that shit was fucking perfect. And they've even photoshopped the recreation of the Doomsday Clock variant, where it's Superman melting into a bunch of gears, and they did the Henry Cavill version, and then they superimposed the face from the film as well, and it's an exact copy of that variant. And I'm like, I want to see that fucking movie now. It's never going to happen.
No.
But how cool would it be to actually see Doomsday Clock on the big screen?
We need to watch that movie again, by the way.
Yes, we do.
Yes. That's on our list.
It's pretty good. Very good. Yeah, you know what, Marvel? They're trying different things. This is not going to be it. And people are definitely not going to be excited about this particular feature. But Wolverine returning, they should have handled it as like a maybe the return of Wolverine, even if you wanted to do a miniseries, but not you're ruining the expectation and the reveal and the return of Wolverine by breaking that up into different parts and then spreading it through books that don't sell as well.
There's somebody else who's pretty upset with Marvel too. Somebody else who's dissatisfied. Thanos creator Jim Starlin has cut ties with Marvel Comics due to a dispute with Marvel executive editor Tom Brevoort.
Yeah. People don't like that guy.
He's got a weird last name. I don't like him either.
He's like their Dan DiDio. And I like Dan DiDio, but man, readers don't.
So Tom has allegedly approved a plot for the current Thanos ongoing comic series, which falls too closely to a planned series of Thanos graphic novels by Starlin and artist Alan Davis releasing in April.
So that's the main issue, is he pitches the story ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Months ahead of time, and they greenlighted, this is a story. They know what's happening. They don't just say, oh, I wonder what he's going to write about, because they need to protect the brand, they need to protect the characters, and it needs to match with certain continuity if the story is in continuity. And in this case, it's not, but they still needed to approve his trilogy. So they went ahead and approved it, but then they used the exact same plot for an upcoming series, and that one's releasing before his planned trilogy, and he was the original pitch for this story.
You know what these people are?
B-Chance.
B-Chance. Fucking B-Chance.
Goddamn B-Chance. So we're going to hear it from Starlin himself, who said through a Facebook post, quote, "What I object to and what will keep me from doing any further work for Marvel editorial was Tom Brevoort approving a plot for the current ongoing series, which was pretty much the same as the Thanos story arc in the graphic novel trilogy Alan Davis and I have been working on for Tom in the last year. He had 200 pages of script and 100 pages of pencils on this project when he gave the green light to a strikingly similar plot. The ongoing will be in print before the graphic novel trilogy. To avoid spoiling anyone's enjoyment of these two stories, I will not be summarizing the striking similarities," end quote.
And you know what happens now? DC goes, oh, you want to come work for us? We don't do that shit.
We got Bendis over here.
And we take some more.
You want to write a Darkseid story? Because that's pretty much who you made him off of. You've wanted to write a Darkseid story, haven't you? That's what Thanos was. Come on over.
Come on, sweetie. Come on.
All will be well.
You're safe here.
And that's the same Jim who gets paid more for, God damn it, what is his fucking name? He was one of the villains in BVS. The guy that was every time I cry a little. He's the guy with the big scar.
What?
He was going to burn Martha Kent with a flamethrower.
Okay.
But it was like Cage. I can't remember the character's name, but he created that character. Mm-hmm. He gets more from royalties from Warner Brothers for that character in Batman v Superman than he does from Disney for Gamora, Drax, and Thanos, which he also co-created, combined. He gets more from that BVS character than those three.
The BVS character that nobody knows the name of.
Exactly right. And he's like, Warner Brothers treats me very well. I think this is all...
Well, now I have a question. Like, good for that guy for getting paid, but why did Warner Brothers put that random-ass character in there when it could have been anybody just to pay that guy?
Because then fans can say, oh, that's actually based on this character. Because otherwise they would have said, like, they should have made him somebody. They shouldn't have just made a new character. They should have made him an actual... They have a slew of characters that they can use. That's why they use them.
They complain about everything in the movie anyway, so what's the fucking matter?
But it's good, though, because now we can say... People like Starlin can say, fucking, they'll pay you more for our characters.
Yeah.
Shit, I'll make deals with them. And there's not even a toy of that character. Like, maybe there is, but he's not getting royalties from that fucking toy. He's getting royalties from the goddamn movie.
There's no toy of that character, please. We don't even know who he is.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you remember Batman 89. Bob.
Yes.
You remember Bob had an action figure.
Okay, but Bob was really cool. And Bob was in the movie way more than Scarface McCage or whatever his name was. Cage McStarface. Scarface.
Bob was kind of cool, wasn't he?
Bob was awesome. And then he had to, like, spoilers, he had to die, in case anybody hasn't seen Batman 89. 17, 18, 28 years later, shit. Oh my god, how old am I?
Poor people older than us, they're like, fuck you.
Yeah, I remember when that movie came out. I wasn't born when that movie came out.
You didn't exist.
Nope. Well, I was probably conceived.
More bad news from Marvel, at least from the fans. I think this is all good, personally.
Marvel Comics has canceled a slew of titles in early 2018, including Hawkeye, Iceman, Luke Cage, Jean Grey, Unbelievable Gwenpool, and Generation X.
All titles that I can definitely say are not moving the needle. They are not flying off the shelves. They're not titles that I'm sure comic shops are really stocking in their back issues because they don't sell. So readers quickly tweeted to Chief Creative Officer of Marvel Entertainment, Joe Quesada, and one upset tweet read, quote, "In one swift move, you've eliminated the most diverse and frankly readable titles in your lineup because you prioritize profit and pride over quality. Thank you, Joe. Making the jump to DC will be so much easier now. Sincerely, a former lifelong Marvel fan," end quote.
Well, first, welcome to DC.
Before we slam the shit out of you.
Before we slam the shit. I liked how as you read his quote, it just got whinier and whinier and whinier. This is, and okay, I understand why they're upset. Because if there was something that I really enjoyed and I was really passionate about and they canceled it as they are doing with these comics, because yes, maybe these comics are this person's favorite comics. Maybe that's all that they like to read from Marvel right now. At the end of the day, as we are about to hear from Joe, and he will pretty much point out, they don't make money.
Exactly. They don't sell. Like, that's the bottom fucking line, is they gotta sell. One other tweet that he responded to, actually with this, he responded with this long thing, but he also said, well, best of luck, DC cancels titles too.
Oh my god. Okay, Wendy's, calm down.
He was killing it. He was killing it. I was going through holy shit. I was screenshotting so many because he's not wrong. I'm on Joe's side here now, and we're not Marvel avid readers, you know? Now, Joe responded with the following tweet, quote, "Sorry you feel that way, but like it or not, Marvel is a business. We keep titles going for as long as we can, but there are times, regardless of who the character is, that we need to shut it down. Unfortunately, we can't make every fan happy with these decisions, but this is not the first time Marvel has canceled titles. It's been going on since the dawn of comics because not every book can be a success. So if you feel this is a reason enough for you to leave, I'm sorry we disappointed you, and hopefully you'll come back sometime soon," end quote.
He's not wrong.
The one thing that this fucking, and all these readers were saying it's, you're choosing profit over quality. Well, yes. Fuck yourself. They don't exist. If their whole line is shit like Generation X or Iceman, if we haven't read them, if they're great, we haven't read them, if they're great stories, that's good for you that they're great stories. Fucking make them sell. Like, readers have to buy them. You can make the greatest story in the fucking world. If Doomsday Clock, if Metal, which we love, did not sell, fuck that shit. Well, they're miniseries, but
if Saga didn't sell, if the new Archie comic didn't sell.
If they canceled Saga because sales weren't up there, you'd be like, well, it's a fucking business. You got to sell the fucking book for it to keep going. They're not going to keep it going. That is the nature, once again, of comic books.
Of being in a business.
And someone said, I'm already buying the comic every time it releases, every single month, once or twice a month. What else can I do? Like, I'm doing my part. And Joe said, you can tell a friend, you can tell other people, you can share the book with others. It's, at the end of the day, if people don't get into it, if the character is not sellable, if the character can't hold his or her own comic, then that's the end of the game, have them be supporting characters. That's what you have to do.
And I think that we've seen plenty of examples where you can take obscure characters or brand new characters, and if they're written well enough and they're compelling enough, then yes, you can have that audience. Like Saga, like Lumberjanes. Brand new characters, but the stories are written well enough that you still have people on the book. There's no reason that Marvel can't do the same thing, and unfortunately it's just not happening with these particular characters.
The other thing that is biting them in the ass, I guess, is that all of these titles are female characters, minority characters, and gay characters. But guess what? Those minority gay and female characters in these comics are not selling.
Accurate, but we can't say that Marvel hasn't shown a preference against these kind of characters previously either. So...
Sure, but Joe also said, like, people forget, we're also the ones that are publishing it, that published it in the first place. Like, we put out this diverse line of characters, and no one fucking bought them.
DC does it too.
They did it with DCYOU, and it didn't work, and that's why they had to cancel a lot of those titles. And a lot of these characters got folded into their own, like Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps is now made up of several Lanterns, and like Detective Comics is made up of several different characters. It's not the Stephanie Brown book, because the Stephanie Brown book would not hold up. Even Poison Ivy I know there's a Poison Ivy League out there that's demanding an ongoing. I honestly don't think that it would hold its own ongoing. Like Starfire, she went on for a little bit, and the comic was great, but it's not, it's not flying off the shelves like Harley Quinn, even though it's got the exact same writers and the same team as Harley Quinn. So it's not matching those sales.
I think Poison Ivy would be good for a miniseries. You could do a 6 or 12 issue with Poison Ivy.
And that's what they have been doing. And once they do, people are like, you need to make that an ongoing. It's like, just buy the fucking book. Just be happy that there is a mini. And if they don't make it an ongoing, fine. You got a mini. You got more Poison Ivy material than you had before. You got Iceman for 6 or 7 issues, and there wasn't one before.
I used to have a crush on the Iceman from the movie.
What, the Animorph?
No, was he an Animorph? I never watched Animorphs.
He was Jake in the Animorph TV show.
I never watched Animorphs.
The actor actually has a twin.
Yeah, I know. His twin's not as good looking. I looked him up.
I forgot the guy's name. His twin was also not as successful as his brother.
He was, yeah. I don't remember his name. Sean somebody?
Yes, you're right.
I don't know. I'm not even going to look it up. That's how much I don't care about him anymore.
Would you have handled this differently if you had done the cancellations, or should this be like a band-aid? Just fucking rip it off. Would you have done like half, like, oh, this is a lot of minorities and gay characters and women, or what do you think?
I think they went the right direction, because you're going to start hemorrhaging money at some point. You're just losing money if you're keeping these on, if you keep paying these people. And that comes with a consequence. If you continue to lose money, then you're going to have to let people go. And ultimately, you don't want to do that. You want to keep people in your company, keep your writers, and keep your artists. I don't think he's wrong in responding to people and pointing out the cold, hard truth of, hey, these didn't sell. We aren't making the profit and the numbers on these that we need, and that's why they're gone. And, unfortunately, people just don't want to accept that and don't want to see that. And that's on them. And he knows that there's nothing they can do to fix that. I think if he did a little bit at a time, then you'd have people saying, oh, well, you let go of them last month, and now you're letting go of these this month. You're just trying to get rid of all of them.
It would have gone way longer.
Exactly. It would have been stretched out. Now everybody's going to forget about it by next month when something new comes out.
Yeah, they have to trim the fat. And even one thing he said is, we either sell to the vocal minority or we sell to the thousands of readers that are not buying this book right now. And he said these characters aren't going away forever. They're going to show up in other books, and there's going to be other titles that are going to replace it.
Right.
The diverse nature of the line and the characters aren't going away. It's not like we killed off Jean Grey and Iceman and the Team Generation X.
Oh, no, they killed them.
They're gone forever.
Can we call it Generation 10 just to troll people? Can we call it like the 10 men instead of the X-Men?
It might be Generation 10. I don't read the fucking comic. We read like 2 Marvel books out of their whole line.
Yes.
And one of them is done, Silver Surfer, and you didn't see us like, oh, motherfuckers.
We have 2 Spider-Mans that we read. We have Miles Morales.
No, we stopped reading that.
Oh, shit.
We are reading Spider-Men, the second one, but that's a miniseries, and then we're reading The Mighty Thor. I think that is... What else do we have?
Renew Your Vows?
Yeah, no, I dropped that too.
Oh, shit. Well, then we're not reading anything. Sorry.
We dropped She-Hulk as well.
Ah, damn it. Well, they're killing off all these characters. They're next to go.
Mighty Thor, and once Jane Foster's done being Thor, we'll probably drop that too.
Spoilers.
I mean, she's gonna die. She's at least gonna stop being Thor. Maybe she won't die, but she'll stop being
You
Thor.
just ruined this book for everybody. That's my favorite thing to bring up, though. I was talking to somebody today who's like, back when I read Hulk, he didn't have hair and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, and Thor's a woman now. And they're like, what? It's great. It's my favorite thing to do.
It's always funny when people bring that up, like, Thor's a woman now. Well, no, he did not go through, like, a sex change.
Right.
Someone else has the title of Thor, and then the Odin son is still around. Oh.
I just say, yeah, Thor wasn't worthy anymore, so the hammer of peace went and found
exactly
somebody cooler.
Right. Yeah,
that's
exactly what happened. So I don't know. I think this is the right line, the right move. Trim the fat, trim down the titles for sure. Just like they did with the Kingpin, cut his title. Elektra cut her title. When they did right before Marvel Legacy, they need to keep cutting and focus on the books that are selling and expand from there.
And hopefully they will, and hopefully we will see some more diverse things soon in a book that will actually, hopefully people will pick it up and it'll sell well, and then they can keep going.
So continuing with Disney, less than 24 hours after its Thursday evening preview debut, Star Wars The Last Jedi has raked in $105.8 million at the box office, $45 million domestically, and $60.8 million in various international markets, according to Deadline.
This makes it the second largest Thursday opening ever in North America, putting it behind The Force Awakens and ahead of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
We still haven't seen it. We're hoping to see it this week so that we can at least talk about it next week, because there is such a disparity between critics and its fans, and this is going to be fucking fun to talk about. The film opened to critical acclaim, holding a 93% positive rating, but an opposing audience score currently sitting at a shocking 53%. And Rotten Tomatoes, we're still going to say, does not matter. Fucking whatever it is, watch the movie for yourself if you'd like. But this shit is hilarious. Like, the disparity is what we're mainly focusing on.
I get so excited when all the Disney heads on my Facebook check in that they're going to go see Star Wars, and I just wait. I'm like, what are you going to say about it? What are you going to say? I'm so excited. So this rating does give Star Wars The Last Jedi a lower audience score than both Justice League, which had 80%, and Batman v Superman, which had 63%.
That is fucking insane. More people have gone on there and said, I don't like this movie, than they have for BVS, which was very fucking, but people are still talking about fucking BVS, and Justice League, which we fucking talked shit about. Lower than those fucking movies.
I'm telling you, here's my theory. We're going to see this movie, and you're actually going to like a Star Wars movie, and it's going to be this
I thought The Force Awakens was fine, and I liked the original trilogy.
Well, you're really going to like this one.
I'm going to think this is the best one.
Yes.
I thought that was going to be Rogue One for me, honestly.
Yeah?
Like, the more I saw of it, I'm like, this is so... it looks like a director really has his stamp on this thing, his or her stamp on it, and it looks like it's going to be different than the other Star Wars movies. It looks like it might be more visually interesting as a film than it is as a sci-fi movie. And so I went in like, I'm really excited to see this. And I wasn't really watching a lot of trailers or interviews or any of that shit. And then I watched it and I was like, man, that wasn't very good. So I don't know. That might happen with Last Jedi.
We'll see.
Although I'm hearing that it's very jokey, like a Marvel movie. So I'm like, fuck me. I don't know about that. Critics are, whenever it's convenient, these things actually represent the fucking movie. And again, because I know someone's going to bring it up, we're not saying that 93% is correct or that this 60% disapproval rating is incorrect or correct. We're saying that it's fucking hilarious when you compare it to the other shit that supposedly is worse or better than this fucking movie. There is a contradiction there. People have been saying, welcome to Team BVS, because we've been here for the last 2 fucking years.
I wish there was a way, because we talk about this every time a movie comes out and this kind of stuff happens, and you've probably heard us say it 1,000 times. And I don't know if they started a site like this, but they might have. But I wish there was a way that you could look at ratings from people who like other movies that you like. So rather than the general population, boom, we liked it or we didn't like it, which is what most people go by because of Rotten Tomatoes, maybe say, okay, I liked, these movies are my top 10 favorite movies. Who else has these in their top also?
That's not a bad idea.
And what have they said about this movie? And then you can actually see from people who have the same interest. Because, as we've said many times, we view movies differently than a lot of other people. We don't like the jokey. We don't we like some substance that we can take away rather than a fast food.
And some people that say, well, you don't like comedies at all. It's like, I love Bad Santa. I love The Cable Guy. Like, we like funny movies,
You like dark humor.
I do love dark humor. But you're not going to see those two in my top 5 movies of all time.
Right.
I don't think I have a single comedy in my, top 10 movies that are my favorite.
But regardless, people who like the same movies you do probably like Bad Santa also.
Right, that's
and then,
true.
So if you had a site like that, you could click on Bad Santa, and those people would be saying, yes, we like this movie, or no, I don't, and you could judge from there. Somebody make this. I bet it already exists.
Regardless of where you sit on The Last Jedi, because again, we haven't seen it at the time of this recording, I'm finding the arguments and the memes from both sides hilarious.
Yes.
Like, I think they're both great. There's the argument of, you guys bitched about Force Awakens, and I did, Force Awakens being this exact same movie as Episode 4, and they try to do something different, and you complain. And this is where I haven't seen it, and I chime in, and I was like, once again, don't give people what they fucking want. Just make your fucking movie.
Every time you say I chime in, I think of the Panic at the Disco song.
I've never heard. How's it go?
I chime in with the haven't you people ever heard of? You've heard that song. Closing the goddamn door. That's exactly how it goes. You've heard that song. It was their biggest song.
Well, maybe I did, but I chime in with my thoughts. And
I never said I was a good singer, Dad. You sing things wrong all the time. You mix 2 songs together all the time.
I love doing that shit.
Oh, it pisses me off.
It's not like I used to DJ or anything.
No. What was that one that I used to hate that you would do? Some popular song like 7 years ago.
It was the Lady Gaga one, I think.
Yes, Just Dance.
Yes. No, it wasn't Just Dance. It was one of Lady Gaga songs, and then it was one of the more indie band songs, because they sounded exactly the same as you build up with it.
You're gonna have
sing for the applause.
Oh, yeah.
Sing for the applause.
That's not how that goes either, but...
That's how it goes. That's the mix right there between the 2 songs, because they have the exact same beat, and they would fit perfectly within each other.
Well, then go ahead and mix it together and let me hear it.
I will, one day.
No, you're not. No.
I need to know the name of both songs to buy them, because I've never heard either one in its entirety.
Oh my God. Well, that's why you think they're the same song. One is called Applause, okay, and the other one is I don't remember.
Are you excited at all to see The Last Jedi?
I have yet to see a Star Wars movie that I really like, despite me being Papa Kelly.
That's the ironic part of this.
That is the ironic part. I don't know. I saw the originals when I was younger, and I just didn't get into them. And then I saw Force Awakens with you, and I mean, it was okay. It's just not really for me, I guess.
I gotcha. I think I'm definitely more excited to see The Last Jedi now. After seeing the crazy debates going on and the mixed reactions, I'm like, oh shit, I really want to see this now, so I can decide who is right.
so I can be the
deciding factor.
Shouldn't it be the Emperor Palpatine that decides these things?
Once you come up with your opinion, yours overrides mine. Okay. How about that?
All right. Well, we will have to see it hopefully before the next show, and then we'll be able to give our review out of, 5 lightsabers or something.
Laser swords, thank you.
5 metachlorines or whatever.
So, because we haven't talked about it enough, and it's something I'm going to continue to bitch about, there are still Marvel properties whose film rights are not owned by Disney after the Fox deal. So there's some stuff that the mouse doesn't have.
So there's 2 things. So first up we have Hulk. Universal has distribution rights to Bruce Banner /Hulk, Betty Ross, General Ross, Abomination, She-Hulk, and The Leader. Movies with these characters in the lead role need to be done through a full partnership with Universal.
Namor, one of Marvel's earliest characters, is also under Universal.
Leonard Namor?
It's basically their Aquaman, but I believe he was around before Aquaman. He was, once again, one of the earliest characters.
Is he cute?
I don't know if he would... I mean, he's got the Vegeta-ish hair, I guess. You might like him.
Oh, he's like a vampire. Ooh, spooky vampire. What is this? Who drew this picture?
Let me see this picture, and you got to describe it.
You get to describe it.
So he's in his green underwear with a bulge in the fucking Speedo, and he's super muscular, and he's in a little throne of a shell.
An Aphrodite clamshell. and his legs are spread very far apart. And he's just like, man, he's kind of cute. There he is being a vampire.
That's Namor.
An ocean vampire.
One cool thing about Namor is he is not a hero. Sometimes he's a villain. He's more in the middle of the road. Well, what I find the most fun is, and the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards and Sue.
Mm-hmm.
She actually has a thing for Namor, and he really...
There's lots of pictures.
There's been several stories in which he forces her to go down in the end on the water king. Go down. He kind of looks into his underwater kingdom.
He's kind of like a Sinestro crossover, like Aquaman meets Sinestro meets vampire.
So that's kind of and Reed's always like, but she always comes back to Reed Richards because he's more like the fling, and they have kids together.
Wait, so he's okay that like she leaves him to go like hook up with vampire?
No, he's not. But that's the story, and then like eventually, it's more of a force thing, and that's something they won't do now. Where he forces her to come down and marry him or whatever. But in this case, you won't see a story like that. But that's their history, and I believe in the Ultimate Universe they made it so that Sue really did actually have feelings for Namor.
I mean, he's pretty handsome. He's handsomer than lame-ass Reed Richards. So, yes, Namor, whatever. He did come out before Aquaman. He beat him by, like, 3 years. Did they ever fight? Because I'm Googling, and it gives me Aquaman versus Namor.
I don't know if in the crossovers, it makes sense. They would have made both of them fight in the Marvel versus DC and DC versus Marvel comic book, but I don't know if even if they did fight, it would not have been a huge story, because I remember very clearly Batman and Captain America. I remember Wolverine versus Lobo.
Yeah, but who's going to remember Aquaman versus Namor?
I remember that shit.
No, you wouldn't have, please. Is this them? I think they're fighting.
Yeah, that's them.
All right,
that's them. I guess they did fight. Another property that is not Disney's yet is Spider-Man. Under the 2015 terms with Marvel Studios, Sony still retains full ownership of film rights, but Disney has permission to produce Spider-Man films under strict guidelines. Sony also kept rights to all associated Spidey characters.
Sony, you're brilliant. Keep that shit. Keep it.
Keep making money. They're building your brand for you, and you own it. They just get a cut of it, and you get a cut of it.
You own that, girl.
And you own that shit.
So, sticking with the theme of this acquisition, which, as you all know, we are very against, we're not the only ones. Top member of the House and Senate antitrust subcommittees have called for an investigation into the Disney 21st Century Fox deal, citing anti-monopoly laws, according to Variety.
Amy Klobuchar, a Democrat from Minnesota, called the buyout, quote, another industry-changing merger which would have major implications in television, film, and media. I'm concerned about the impact of this transaction on American consumers, end quote. That's what we've been fucking saying. You get your goddamn little mutants and your Fantastic Four on the big screen for the next 10 years. What's gonna fucking happen in 30 to 40 years? You've heard of the last 2 fucking episodes. I'm gonna keep saying that shit.
We also have a quote from David Cicilline, a Democrat from Rhode Island, who said, quote, Disney's proposed purchase of 21st Century Fox threatens to put control of TV, movie, and news content into the hands of a single media giant. If it's approved, this merger could allow Disney to limit what consumers can watch and increase their cable bills. Disney will gain more than 300 channels, 22 regional sports network, control over Hulu, and a significant portion of Roku, end quote.
Yeah, but at least we'll get a good X-Men. Fuck off. Fuck you.
Yeah, we did get a good X-Men. It's called
we
First
got several
Class,
of them.
And none of you bitches watched it.
Several people watched it.
A few of you bitches watched it.
Matthew Vaughn, director of, I don't know if you remember, we talked about it a few months ago. He still wants to do that Superman movie.
Yes.
Did the greatest X-Men movie, might do the greatest Superman movie. Who knows?
Probably will.
But at least someone up to high, I use high in quotes, is against this merger. I think it's still going to happen. Disney has their dollar in enough people's fucking pockets that this shit is still going to go through. I wish I'll even settle for fucking, look, just give them a portion of this shit. But the whole fucking deal in the merger is way too fucking much.
So I know what'll stop this merger. During my maternity leave, have been watching a lot of Netflix and a lot of Hulu, and I've learned a few things. So everybody, you need to get out a pen and a paper. You need to write a letter to Santa and ask him to please stop this merger. And it's going to get lost and blown away in the wind because that's what's going to happen. You're going to go, oh no, my letter. But he'll get it, trust me.
Why don't you write another one?
No, it's blown away. And then in the spirit of Christmas, because this is how it happens in Hallmark movies, Santa will make it happen. But he's got to teach you a life lesson first.
He'll make the merger not happen, is what you're saying.
Right. He'll answer your wish. But you have to learn a life lesson. And there has to be a horse-drawn carriage and the first snow of the season included in there. And some old farmer that you help.
Is he a mystery farmer character? Is there a romance in these Hallmark movies?
Well, there's always a romance. So here... Do you not know the formula for every Hallmark movie?
I don't. I haven't seen enough of them.
What? Okay, here's the formula for every Hallmark movie. So... the two people are from a small town, right? And they knew each other as kids or knew each other previously, but then one of them leaves for the big city every time. And there's always a Santa. It doesn't matter if it's a Christmas one or not, there's always a Santa character. I don't know why. There's always a magical Santa character. So then the person who left for the big city has to come back to the small town for some reason. Maybe for a sick family, maybe to sell the family's house, maybe they just get roped into a Christmas thing. I don't know. They usually have another love interest in the big city, by the way. Fiance, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And they come back and they meet up with their old high school friend, and then they end up falling in love and they get married.
And then the rest of the plot is all around this same skeleton of a plot. I gotcha.
That is every Hallmark movie ever. All of them.
It works, though. It's got you watching them every single fucking time.
Man, I sure do. I got sidetracked by my younger show, but now I've watched all of that, so what am I going to do now?
Final news story before our Patreon shoutouts and our review of Monstro Mechanica. Director Joseph Kahn released character concept art from his unused pitch for a live-action Justice League Dark film.
The characters that we see are Constantine, Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Jason Blood, and Deadman.
So, of course, now that this movie is not happening because he released the concept art and he's like, this was my pitch, unfortunately it didn't work out. Now everyone is saying, oh, this would have been great to see. I would have really liked to have seen this. As soon as all these characters, and some of them looked like shit. Every one of them 100% could have looked like shit. And because it didn't happen and because people didn't get it, they're going to be like, well, they should have done it. Why didn't they do it?
They just should have done it.
That was
so that
great.
we can complain and give it a bad Rotten Tomatoes score and ask them why they did take risks.
Yes.
So just my thoughts on a couple of these characters. Constantine looked like a nerdy-ass college professor.
It looked nothing like Constantine.
It was terrible.
Have they even seen the show?
Apparently not, because that's what Constantine looked like. Zatanna looked like a basic-ass random girl.
It looked like it didn't look anything like fucking Zatanna. And
she was headed to Starbucks to get her pumpkin spice latte with her little ripped jeans and her crop top.
People were saying, all of these look great. It's like, no, not all of these looked great. No, most of them did not look great.
Deadman was terrible.
You really didn't like Deadman.
I did not like Deadman.
Zatanna was my least favorite of this whole
Zatanna was my
bunch.
least favorite, too. And then Constantine was a close second. Didn't like Deadman.
You compared him to a Terminator. Why didn't you like him?
Because he was all silver and Terminator-y looking. I don't know.
He looked fine.
Just whatever.
Terminators look like skeletons, do they not?
No.
And Deadman looks like a skeleton. Of course it looks like a Terminator. It also looks like Skeletor.
I was up all night with your son. I'm just going to take a nap. So, Jason Blood, I didn't like him either.
You didn't really see Etrigan.
No, we should have seen. I'm sure Etrigan would have looked like a shitty-ass college professor, too. That's what they do with the cool characters. Swamp Thing looked okay. But they probably would have CGI'd the hell out of him, and then it would have looked shitty, so...
We've said before, though, that they need to CGI Swamp Thing.
Well, you would have to, but why can't you puppet Swamp Thing? Can we puppet Swamp Thing?
Because that's way more expensive.
Yeah, and it worked great in Jurassic Park.
That's true. If you can make a giant puppet T-Rex, you can make a giant puppet Swamp Thing.
A giant puppet T-Rex that almost killed a man because he got stuck inside when it turned on.
That's fucking... I mean, is that unexpected? Like, if someone said he got killed by... He was inside the T-Rex and he died. It's like, oh, so he got eaten is what you're trying to say? Well, no, like it turned on and then it crushed him. Right, so he got digested. Like, it wouldn't really be a shock that he died from a T-Rex.
Right. And I mean, how kind of cool is that? Like, yeah, my husband died making a giant-ass T-Rex.
He died making Jurassic Park. Yeah. That's all you need to say.
Oh, man. And then you get tons of money. That's terrible. I would never want that to happen.
Yeah, I was thinking, wait a minute. It's only funny because I'm not working on Jurassic Park.
Right. And we never will.
Yeah, I don't know about these concept arts. Like I know people are, because it's not happening, they suddenly want it, but the best one of the bunch was Swamp Thing. The rest of them, as much as I'm like, yeah, Dead Man was fine, the rest of them I didn't care for. Zatanna needed, and he said Zatanna would have had the top hat in this. I don't think so. I think you would have had a nod to it, and that would have been it. Most of the time, it would have looked like this.
Her top hat would have been hanging on a wall behind her, or
something
on
like
a desk,
that, yeah.
or on her dresser when she goes to pull out her lacy underwear to put on for the. No, that's what would have happened too. That would have been in the movie.
Maybe eventually we'll get a Justice League Dark. I don't know. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I don't think
Only if real Constantine plays himself. I don't care that he's in the TV show also.
Matt Ryan?
Yes.
It's got to be Matt Ryan.
He is Constantine.
Or Sting. Sting himself.
Sting?
Yes, the guy that it's all based on.
I'm thinking a seal. I'm like, Kissed by a Rose guy? What is he playing? Oh, man. Listen, I need some sleep.
I can tell. Let's head into our Patreon shout-outs of the week.
This week we have two very special shout-outs. The first one goes out to the mysterious Redmans,
who we still know very little about. He might have been involved in the Disney-Fox merger. Maybe he was in the middle, like, no! Like in between Mew and Mewtwo.
You shall not pass!
Good job, Redmans.
Good job, Redmans.
Well done.
Maybe Redmans was making the merger. Maybe that's why he's staying
He's
quiet.
The secret villain of this whole story.
Oh, maybe he's the Nimoy or whatever his name was.
Namor.
Whatever.
And the next shout out goes out to Kat on Instagram at Main Street Cat, who's been posting Star Wars pictures from Hollywood studios, and they turned out really nice.
We need to go. Have you seen all the beams for the new ride in the new land has been signed by cast members? Have you seen that?
That's awesome.
It's so cool.
Really
I don't know
cool.
how they win it, but they get to go back there and sign their name on it. So granted, you'll never see it again, but to know like, oh, my name is there.
Right.
I want them to paint over them like.
That's almost as useless as the pictures at Epcot, and as soon as you enter in that fucking little area.
What, the little pictures that you put up on your Facebook? Oh no, on the
plaques.
On the plaques, yes.
That you can't even see anymore.
NSYNC is on one of those.
Where?
Listen,
Exactly.
I don't know. I have a friend who is supposedly on one of them.
And doesn't even remember where they're at.
Remember where it is.
Yeah, I'm on there too.
Yeah, me too.
We're all on there. All the listeners are on there.
Hashtag, I couldn't think of a hashtag on the fly, sorry. Hashtag me too.
That works in so many ways. So thank you so much for backing us on Patreon, and to the rest of our Patreon backers. If you would also like your shout out every single month, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimbroke, and we're actually holding a contest right now.
Ooh.
So next month, we are giving away a copy of Deathstroke the Terminator Volume 3, which is the latest volume of the reprintings of the original run of Deathstroke. So all you have to do is become a Patreon backer. It does not matter at what level, $1, $10 and higher, whatever it is. You enter in by being a Patreon backer to win the Deathstroke the Terminator Volume 3. And it is a thicker volume, so you get a ton of comics in this thing. And we will announce a winner next month.
But of course, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do for us is leave us a review, a comment, talk to us on SpeakPipe. Let us know what you thought of the show. Let other people know about the show.
There's also a link in the show notes for SpeakPipe and our Patreon page. Huge thanks to DecalAvenue.com for the help at the $5 decal reward tier. As you mentioned, speakpipe.com/thereasonsimbroke to leave us a voicemail. Right now we're asking for what are your favorite bits of 2017? What is your favorite movie? What is your favorite comic book? And we may include it next week for our end of 2017 podcast. Or if you just want to submit a regular question and you want to be heard on the show, once again, speakpipe.com/thereasonsimbroke.
We do also have a revamped shop recently in the last few weeks. Some of you have taken advantage of it and gotten some new shirts. But if you go to thereasonsimbroke.com and click on merch, you'll see various logos. When you click on one, it sends you over to TeePublic, where you can choose various colors for that logo, different shirt styles, hoodies, etc.
So let's finish off the episode with our comic book review of the week.
This week's comic review is Monstro Mechanica #1. The writer is Paul Allor. The artist is Chris Evenhughes, and the colorist is John Weigers. The names just got worse as I went.
Monstro Mechanica is actually published by Aftershock Comics, so it is an independent comic. And we gave this a shot. Actually, I added on my subscription. There was a preview that they sent out of the book saying, hey, this is coming out in next month. Here's a preview of it. I was like, all right, I always like to check them out just in case there's so many comics being published that we can't check them all out. But whenever possible, I do check them out. And what first drew me in it is the artwork in it. And then from there, it was, holy shit, Leonardo da Vinci's in this shit. So I was like, yeah, I'll give that a fucking shot. And that's what this is. This is kind of it's obviously a fantasy story, a retelling of the history of Leonardo da Vinci, but of his female apprentice, which is like, ooh, back in those days. And you see
She's
that.
She's wearing pants.
Exactly. Like, hey, you boy, you're wearing pants. And you see that in the book. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's probably what they got made fun of. And they have a wooden robot that Leonardo da Vinci built, and she is not resetting him every night. So he is growing smarter and more independent with each passing day. So that's what the premise of this story is. And then on top of it, it's got amazing artwork. It's got people going after Leonardo da Vinci, mainly the church. And it's just this, it's not steampunk, but it is like a fantasy, historical-ish telling of the book.
Historical fiction is what you would call it. Yeah, very, very interesting. It starts off great. It's got a great premise. It's got interesting characters. You're kind of looking at Da Vinci this whole time, and you're like, are you the hero or a villain? You can't really tell, which is a lot of fun. You don't quite know which side to be on. But it looks like it's going to be a fun and amazing ride. It's already starting out great. If you guys have a few extra bucks, want to check something out, are interested in this kind of genre, it's a great, great comic to check out.
It's mainly following the female apprentice for the comic book. So she's kind of like the reader where she's not as informed on what Leonardo's really doing. She's just mainly interested in the wooden robot. And the wooden robot is also defending Leonardo da Vinci and the apprentice on top of that. So it's
from Assassin's Creed.
Exactly right. Yeah, it is fucking Assassin's Creed. It's in that same time period too. So it matches everything else. And again, it's the artwork is fucking gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. The story itself has got us interested. So once again, Monstro Mechanica #1 from Aftershock Comics.
And with that, we can wrap up our second to last podcast of the year.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode number 275. We hope you enjoyed it if this was your first episode, and we hope to see you next week for the final show of 2017.
Of ever, the last show.
Yeah, we're available in more places than ever. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn. The most recent one is Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, if you discovered us through there, which they have been, I'm like, holy shit, there's some good stats on Spotify. Thank you so much for trying out the show, and we hope you found something in the episode that you enjoyed.
Once again, thank you guys so much. Hit us up on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, at Kelli. Don't forget to send me your holiday traditions, whatever holiday it is. Birthdays count as holidays. I want to know, because we got to pass these on to our child. He's got to learn cool things too.
Merge them together. Your favorite holiday traditions, your best bits of 2017. Tweet it at us if you'd like, and we'll read it if you don't want to be heard. Otherwise, speakpipe.com/thereasonsimBroke. Link in the show notes.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Emperor Kelli.
And I'm Darth Vader Daniel.
And we will see you next week.